Hi, and welcome to this series on relationships. And this is the last of the 4 segments that I wanted to cover here. First one began with agreement and how important it is to have agreement in a relationship. The next one was on discovery, how we discover the nuances and the differences with at least a superficial level with a person or the people that we're engaging with in a relationship. And then the third one was on the investigation, how when we dive deep, what we can uncover, how we investigate ourselves and the other person or people in the relationship. So the fourth area, and relates to the quadrant 4 of the innate model, and that is around opportunities, around what it is that is possible as a result of the relationship. This is a place where those who suspect they're innately wise, brilliant and powerful come to learn how to transform their lives, one cognition, one realization, and one blinding flash of the obvious at a time. We are the innovators, the record breakers, the world makers and creators of all kinds. We supersede the suppressive worldview of mass ignorance and awaken the strength within. We are waking up to our innate secrets. My name is Dr. Mark Postles, and welcome to the In8 Secrets podcast. What we get to do within a relationship is continuously reflect and then look at, well, what if I did this? What if I did that? What else is possible? How can we take it? Where can we take it to? And that reflection drives this component. So the ability to see the overview, and this is, say, the quadrant 4 part. So it's about looking from the outside in on this relationship and seeing, where can we go with this? What can we actually done here? And a lot of relationships will fade and fail by not doing this step. And we can get into our ruts, we can get into our everyday activities, and it's just same old, and that leads to stale relationships. And so this is about how can we constantly rejuvenate it, constantly look at it from an objective viewpoint, and then rediscover it and find out where else we could go with it. So the essence of this is to find out firstly what's working, and what's not working. So how can we accentuate those parts that are working, and at the same time look at the parts of our relationship that are dysfunctional, the parts of a relationship that just don't juice us up, they don't get us what we want and what we agreed to initially, and what we've discovered, investigated as not as good as it could be. And how can we then make it so? How can we take it to a position of making it that it can produce value for us? So and this could be both in the areas that could be working for one person but not for another. It could be working for both of you, and therefore how do you make it better and bigger? Or it could be not working, full stop. So how can we reinvent this relationship on a regular basis? I find it useful to take time, and this is in many different areas of relationships, by the way, particularly in business, of a quarterly cycle, so that every 12 weeks, looking at the relationships that I'm in, looking at the structure and the business that I'm in, and saying, okay, what could be better? What could we do that's going to take us into a direction that's going to be more productive, more powerful, and more sustainable for everyone? So, whatever your timeframes are, that's just a consideration that I certainly use, and that is that make it a regular thing where you do go and revisit the relationship. So becoming comfortable with change, I think, is a critical part of this, because if you do review and you find things aren't working, or that they are working but you want to make them work even better, that involves change. That involves being willing to put yourself on the line, to be vulnerable, and to do something or think something or behave in some way that is different to what you've done before. And so it's a critical component, because if we don't, if we resist change, if we don't want change, then relationships will continue same old, and the trench gets deeper. It's like, consider, sheep as they move around a hillside. One follows the other, and the trail that they create gets deeper and deeper, and so you can have very, very deep ruts where the sheep can't go any other way but straight around this particular rut in the hillside. And we do that neurologically. We do that with our brain. We do that with our relationships. We take it for granted, and we just carry on in the same old way, not looking at what other things are possible. So being comfortable with change, being comfortable with getting out of the rut and doing things differently. And the other thing on that is to be willing to take action when things slow down. So and maybe when things are going too fast as well. But being willing to take action, and that links in with the change aspect. But it is about making sure that you are being proactive in it. So in other words, it's not till things get bad and you get reactive that you're making any changes. It's where you get on the front foot and you make change because you're doing a reassessment and you're seeing that, okay, this relationship needs to shift, it needs to change in some way. And so collaboratively you get together and work out, what would that look like? So the question on this has always got to be, well, how can I reinvent it? And the nature of this quadrant 4 part really is like, if it's broke, that's fine, break it even more. But if it's not broke, break it anyway. And so how can you reinvent it? How can you make it better? And that might be bigger, it might be smaller, it might be more, or it might be less. It might be efficiency is obviously an overriding theme here, and probably effectiveness as well. But it doesn't have to be always bigger and bigger. It could be, how can we make this more succinct, more impactful, more, and smaller, and more easy. So there's a lot of different dynamics to how you can reinvent something, but always look at the fact that that nothing's ever set in stone. Something can always be improved on or reinvented to make it totally different. So, it could be the way in which you relate to the other person relates to you, and you may decide, okay, well, we will talk to each other in a respectful way, even when we're totally peed off with them, so that in itself could be a significant shift in the relationship, where there's tonality is maybe the feature, and you may decide, okay, we'll do that this month. We will not use tone that is derogatory or that doesn't acknowledge the beauty of the other person, the things that brought us together. And so, that in itself can be quite a difficult thing when you feel plugged in to not use a tone that is, regardless of the words you're saying, not use a tone that is going to run the other person down. So part of this then is knowing your brain and your brain function, and being aware of your innate model preferences, and likewise theirs. And if it's a romantic relationship, it's like understanding when that other person's coming from a point where they maybe have a preference and you may not, so that will seem strange to you at that time. But making sure that you're aware of that and dealing with the strange feeling that you might have about it, and at the same time knowing how the expression that you have may be misinterpreted by the expression that your partner has, or in the case of a big group, the other members of the group. So being aware of the fact that when you're relating to them, then it's about making sure you're doing it in their model of the world, and that would mean the flexibility to shift and to do a certain expression of your behaviour in several different forms so other people can get it. And that becomes quite tricky. And that's really the skill of a great facilitator, and I would call it a way shower rather than a leader. But even as a leader, leaders have a whole. We'll do a section on this one because leaders have a whole different viewpoint on the world. But being able to modify your behaviour into someone else's understanding level. Another area on this one that is really, really critical is support and challenge everything. Look at everything that comes up as being valued by support. That particular activity can be supported and at the same time challenged. So there's a little bit of support and a little bit of challenge in every circumstance that one might have. So in other words, if someone's doing a behavior which is not very useful, is to support them with that. Firstly, it's like, hey, I notice that you're speaking angrily here, and then you can bring in some challenge. So you've supported them in that. I notice that this is going on, and that must feel pretty yucky for you. And then you can challenge them. So how about maybe we work in a way in which your tone is modified so that we can come to a solution. You see, so there's a challenge to that current state. It doesn't have to be in their face, but it's got to give them some sort of opportunity for moving forward. And likewise, when we're all charged up, then it's about supporting ourselves, firstly acknowledging that I feel angry, I feel this, and then challenging ourselves to bring it back to ourselves and acknowledging the other person may have had a role in that. So when you do such and such, I feel this, and then you carry on with that. So I'm afraid that this might happen or that might happen, and what I really want is for us to be connected and to be more sharing and relating at a higher level. So you can take the responsibility on there for, even though you are charged initially, you can dissipate the charge within yourself by that process. So being aware that support and challenge is a really integral part of a relationship that works well. So on the plus side of that, there's role playing and experience is a huge part of being in a dynamic, reinventing style of relationship. So always being aware that you can reinvent the relationship by doing certain things that are not you, doing experiences and role plays that are not you, and that loosens you up. Whenever we do something that's unusual, we break up a pattern. We break up those tracks that we talked about with the sheep around the hillside. We're going and we're doing something different. We're experiencing what it is to be in a different role. Along with that, obviously, is a great asset to have fun and humour with it. So being willing to play at that level. And with that then comes the cheekiness of being the devil's advocate and being willing to speak out, being willing to test the waters and find out how people tick. So this is a very opportunistic type of behaviour that we take that takes place in this opportunities style. So you just grab the opportunity and run with it. And sure, sometimes it won't work out. Sometimes you're going to get slapped. But for the most part, you're going to find that there's a breakthrough available for you on the other side of this risk that you're taking by speaking out and taking this opportunity. So just know then that people are coming into our life for a reason or a season or a lifetime, and they're moving in and they're moving out. And relationships are either growing or they're dying. So, this is the opportunity to keep growing the relationship. And this is what the innate life force does within bodies, within ecosystems, is constantly growing. And then if it's not growing, it's dying. So the big thing here, though, is people don't rally around small things. So keep the game big, keep your vision out there, keep your agreements big, keep it expanding. And this is the innate way. This is how nature works. It's a propensity for growth and development within an innate system, an innately driven system. And so this is the secret at this level, is with any relationship, keep it big, keep it expanding, keep it becoming more. And you know what? The key of this whole thing is it's your choice. You can change any relationship that you're in simply by making a new choice. And with that new choice comes new neurology, new behaviors, and it will affect the other people in the relationship. So I'm Mark Postles, and have a brilliant relationship. Let us show you how to fire your brain in ways that serve you so that you can be confident, connected, and bring joy and passion into what you do every day. Get a free copy of my book, The Innate Model. Go to theinnatemodel.com/free book.